Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. This time we have on Ben's list that took second place at the Bristol Regional, and he was playing Go Second Sky Striker. So it's a recent sort of addition to the metagame in that Striker just... A whole bunch of players, including Striker players, have realised that a lot of turn 1 decks produce kind of underwhelming boards. We may see a change in that given that the Salamangrates have just come out and they do typically tend to play first turn, but here is a going second Striker list in line with this recent theme. So we'll take you through the list then. Triple Ash, Double Pank, Triple Droll, Triple Ray, Triple Foolish, 1 Fusion, 1 Rotor, just double Area 0, 1 Afterburners, 1 Jamming Waves, and only 1 Eagle Booster, 1 Hornet, 1 Shark Cannon, so a lot of versatility here. And then Triple Anchor, Double Multi-Roll, Triple Engage, Double Terraforming, Triple Twisters, 1 Upstart. Probably my favourite tech in this is the World Dino Wrestling. So if you don't know what this does, you can send it with the Foolish Burial Goods and then banish it to search your Pankratops. So it just means that you have 3 more copies of Pankratops within the deck. And then Triple Evenly Matched. For the extra, we have a Borrowload, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, Triple Hayate, Triple Gigari, 1 Kana, Triple Shizuku, and 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon, and then in the side, Pank, Dogoran, and a Kumungus there for the second Kaiju, Triple Vela, Triple Ghostbat, double Enemy Controller, 1 Raigeki. Don't think we've seen an awful lot of this in the past, and then a Triple Shared Ride coming into the meta once again. So that's the deck itself. We're going to have Ben on for an interview in just a minute, but first I'll take you through the rounds as well. So for the rounds, it was an 8-round event. Pretty big one in total. Round 1 he went up against Mech Knight Dino Invoked and went 2-1. Losing the die roll, forced to go first. He won game 1 basically by the skin of his teeth, and then bricked game 2 on hand traps, and then won game 3 because of the Dino Wrestler engine after a very back and forth grindy game. Round 2 against Salamangrate, a 2-0 here. He won the die roll, made the opponent go first, and they were both of the games were fairly easy. Just Widow Anchor being very strong for taking stuff and otherwise baiting out the raw, that kind of thing. And then True King Dino, 2-0 here again, winning the die roll, making the opponent go first, so they're going to struggle there to start off with. Shark Cannon on the Pankratops for the opponent just gives you access to that to kill the opposing diagram. And then in game 2 the opponent normaled a Denko with no real follow-up, as his monster was smaller than a Shizuku, so he basically just lost from there. Round 4, Salamangrate, I think this was Alex Robertson, lost the die roll and opened Ash, and the opponent opened Ash and Baylor for his turn 1, and in game 2 it was pretty similar, except that Ben unfortunately misplayed searching for a burner instead of a Jamming Waves by accident. He also didn't read the Phantasme, the Thanos Dragon, properly, and lost to its second effect there, unfortunately. Round 5 against Salamangrates, again going 2-0. He won the die roll this time, made the opponent go first, evenly wins the game in game 1 after baiting the counter trap with Engage, and then in game 2 he opened double hand trap, Engage, and access to the access to the Dino Wrestler field spell, which is just an easy OTK. Round 6, Danger Thunder, 2-0, draws the opponent's second light, and then when they made a mediocre board with just Colossus and Abyss, Ben was able to Pankratops and Anchor with Engage. And in order to just go from there, game 2 a similar situation, but the opponent opened a Meme and Winged Dragon of Ra, expecting Sphere Mode Omega stuff. And then round 7, Danger Orcust, went 2-1 here. So Ben lost game 1 pretty convincingly. In game 2 he opened evenly matched and killed the majority of the board with Anchor and Shark Cannon as backup. And then in game 3 he was forced to go first. End with 2 Anchors, Enemy Controller, and a Shark Cannon, which is pretty strong. Kaiju on the Shizuku was a bit of a problem, but because he had the Enemy Controller, he was able to take the Nightmare. The opponent then killed it with the Cerberus, making the back row live, so he was really good from there, actually. And then Shark Cannoning the opposing Nightmare, and then another Stork wins through card advantage, essentially. Round 8, Danger Thunder, a 2-1 round here. Losing game 1 to the full combo, and then game 2 opening Droll and grinding to a point where he swung over Unicorn with Pankratops for game, and in game 3 opening Droll again and establishing a pretty decent board. Things go pretty back and forth until he steals a game with Ghostbell Old Hawk, and then goes into a Borrowload, and from there it's kind of hard to lose against the Thunder matchup if it doesn't see enough Thunder support, essentially. So 7-1 record, very strong. Yeah, actually, that's a pretty insane win rate there. And then on to the siding strategy. There's not an awful lot to say here, so going first against Salamangreat, there are no changes, and then going second, you put in the Kaiju to take out the Outstance and Droll. Against Orcast, just enemy controllers, and then choosing just anything to come out, but no siding strategy for going second. And then against Danger Thunder, enemy controls come in and evenly matched come out. You're probably not going to be able to deal with their board enough if they just keep the Colossus there. But the Bells and the Terraformings and the Rotor, Bells going in, Terraformings and Rotor coming out, sorry, so that you can interrupt the plays and hopefully stop them from assembling a strong enough board. And finally, against the sort of dinosaur variants, no real changes, but definitely worth preparing for these in general. So we'll bring on Ben to have an interview and discuss some of his other thoughts on the deck. Okay, hi Ben, how are you doing?
Not too bad, dude. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, thank you. So congratulations on getting, this is second place at Bristol, right?
Yeah, second place at Bristol, Yatton. It was like in between the two, but yeah.
Oh, cool. And so this is, I assume this is a going second list.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Given that you've got the fun Pancratops and things in the main. So why don't we start off with how the event was overall then?
The event was really cool. So it was like in a village hall of all places, but the guy that runs the event that we went to actually runs my locals, and every sort of event he's ran has been in a really awkward place. We were at a snooker hall last time.
Right.
The time before we were in a pub, so like we've gone
noisy.
Super cool though, like really spacious. We managed to fit 149 players total, plus judges and no vendor there.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
Really dope.
Do you have anyone interrupting with coming over from the bar or anything?
Oh no, that was at the first event. Like, we had people coming in asking what we were doing, but they kind of got kicked out quite swiftly.
Right. Sure. Okay, so why did you decide to play the Striker strategy then?
So it's a really funny story. So I played Striker for a long time when we had Hornet Drones at 3.
Yeah. And
then I completely dropped the deck and I started playing Infernity like non-stop. And I know the deck's trash.
What are you talking about? That deck is amazing. Barrier at 3.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. But sort of shortly after that, I went to locals last weekend on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was like, right guys, I have no deck to play for the regional. Somebody chuck me a core and I'll just work with it. Okay. My friend Adam sort of passed me a Sky Striker core, and he was like, yeah, just make this work. And I was like, going first doesn't seem that good anymore.
Yeah. Like,
outside of like, if you're playing Thunder Dragon or Salamangreat, every other deck sort of works better going second. In my personal opinion anyway. So
and often they can just OTK you, right?
Yeah. So I sort of theorized the deck around that. If I'm going first, I tend to get OTK'd unless I open Eagle Booster with 3 spells.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm going second, I have a chance to interact with my opponent with hand traps, etc. And then I can sort of push for damage with the Pancratops engine and all that sort of funky jazz, really.
Yeah, it sounds good. So let's look more in depth at the list then. So you did run the double Pancratops, and I think probably my favourite thing is the fact that you ran it with the World Dino Wrestling.
Dude, that card's insane. A little bit about that card. So you can actually chain Widow Anchor to its effect in graveyard. So the way you educate your opponent, and I did this quite a lot throughout the event, is you activate the effect of World Dino Wrestling, and then you chain 2 Widow Anchors to steal guys your opponent controls. And then you just push through like 9-4 out of nowhere on turn 4, and you just like, yeah, die. And that's the deck's main win condition really, is get access to either Pancratops or World Dino Wrestling. Yeah. And then just surprise your opponent with as much damage as possible.
That seems really good, especially given that, recently Sky Strikers have kind of lost a win condition. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Struggle to beat big boards, and having the fact that you can just punch through with an OTK seems really good.
Pancratops also deals with like Altergeist and stuff, so it was sort of a win-win situation playing that card as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool. Okay, so for the rest of the list, probably mostly quite standard. I mean, obviously you've got the hand traps to compensate for the fact that this is a going second list. You need, as you said, that interaction. And then triple evenly. I don't think we've seen a lot of this recently in the main.
Evenly was sort of a so I knew Salamangreat was going to be huge at this event, and Evenly just Because if you force out the counter trap with some form of, like, you activate engage, and usually people are like, oh, engage, I must negate, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And once you force that out of the way, you can just eradicate their board, because obviously they have the Link 1 that protects the monsters.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. But if you just evenly them, they're left on like 2 cards in hand and 1 card on field that you can easily deal with your Sky Striker engine.
Yeah,
so,
definitely, yeah. And it also is kind of interesting because they're in a similar place to Striker. They're sort of attempting to play a control strategy, but they do so leaving fewer cards in hand than Striker typically do, right?
Yeah, because they don't maintain advantage as well as Striker does.
Yeah.
Because they don't have engage.
Yeah. Just you wait, one day we'll get Salamangrate engaged.
Please don't.
No, it's really cool. Did it come up a lot on the day, the evenly matched, or?
I think I evenly at least like once per match, like.
Wow.
But sometimes Striker has this issue where they'll have like a live field spell or a live multi-roll, and you draw the evenly matched like later on in the game.
Yeah.
But because you're playing Striker, you can just blow it up with multi-roll, or blow it up with a field spell for a free card, and it's completely fine that way.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. Cool. So I guess onto the extra then. Mostly pretty standard, to be honest. Is there anything here that you think you could potentially change? I mean, you didn't have Boral Sword.
Oh, I just... so I don't like Boral Sword in Striker specifically, because with Boral Sword you need 4 monsters to make it, and then to make Boral Sword effective you need an extra monster to sort of go into defense.
And it has to not be one of your Link monsters, which
so, and also Borreloid's really good against Thunder Dragon, which is like by far the hardest matchup.
Yeah.
You just like poke into Colossus, steal it, and then your opponent can't play during the next turn. Hopefully.
Yeah. Just stealing Colossus seems good.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything you would change in the extra, or do you think everything did its job?
Everything did its job great. Kano was really good, surprisingly, the new Sky Striker Link.
Yeah.
Because if you're about to, like, die, say they, like, punch over your Link, and then they play through your anchors, being able to summon Ray and then link into Kano, the amount of times I surprised my opponent, like in the Mech Knight Invoke matchup round 1, or the Mech Knight Dinosaur matchup round 1, I summoned Kano and targeted his ultimate conductor, and I couldn't attack for the rest of the turn, so I couldn't overcame him. And then I just like Widow Anchor and Dino Wrestler field spelled him, and he died. So
no, that's quite cool. Just a nice little interaction. Stop yourself from dying, keep going. Because I mean, definitely, like you're always in a position where if you don't die that turn, you're probably going to win the next turn.
Yeah, Striker's just that good.
Yeah,
insane.
It does some silly stuff. Alright, so onto the side deck then. So obviously third Pancratops. You're running just the 2 Kaiju.
Yeah, I couldn't get a hold of Gamma Seals on the day, please don't bully me, so I just, like, I found 2 Kaijus in my friend's binder, and I was like, these'll do.
They'll do. One is big and one is smallish, and it's fine. Yeah,
that's pretty much the theory on that one.
It's okay, Pancratops beats over Kumungus, so that's all fine, right?
Funnily enough, I drew like 1 Kaiju all day, and it was completely irrelevant, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Would you, are you tempted to run a Slumber package, potentially, or do you think it's no good with this deck?
I don't like Slumber because it puts a monster in your main monsters in, and you can't engage. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Just crash it, it's fine.
Give them the big one and then
give them the big one.
Into it. Ideal.
When the, I mean, that lets you win the Sky Striker mirror match, right?
It gives you some form of edge, but like, the thing is, because multi-roll and the field spell exist, if they have access to either of those, they can turn the Kaiju off.
Is it, I've seen this a few times, I don't know if you were doing this, but I've seen a lot of people just add multi-roll as like the last ditch add, so that they can out Kaiju if they do get Kaiju'd.
Oh yeah, so game 2 and 3, it's optimal to actually add multi-roll half the time off your Shizuki, just because you know that your opponent will side Kaijus for you inevitably, like, 90% of the time Kaijus are in somebody's side deck or even main deck. So adding multi-roll is never a bad thing.
No, yeah. That just seemed like a really cool interaction that I've gradually seen start to creep in. I didn't know if everyone was picking up, so it's good to know.
Very much a thing.
Yeah, cool. Right, so on the side deck then, got the Veilers and Ghost Spells, and I guess Econ is probably...
Oh, enemy control was insane.
Get to tribute your Kaiju.
Yeah, so in the Orcus matchup, round 6, I know it's like on the Excel sheet I sent you.
Yeah.
But my opponent gave me a Radiant. I attributed off the Radiant to steal his Orcus Nightmare. And to be able to play, he had to kill the Orcus Nightmare and put it in his own graveyard, and it just made all of my Sky Strike spells live. So it was a way of, like, it's extra interaction if you do get Kaiju'd, which is, like, sort of a precaution, shall we say.
Well, I think, it's absolutely necessary though, right? Because you need to be able to play during your opponent's turn.
Yeah, exactly. Enemy Control was an idea I got from the guy that was playing limiter removal in his deck at YCS Chicago. But I'm pretty sure he was using it for a different reason, to just push people's face in, because he was also playing limiter removal, for God's sake. But, like, like, it just has defensive utility as well as offensive utility, which is why I sided it going in first. Like, being forced to go first, I always sided it in just to tribute off a Kaiju to steal my opponent's guy.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It seems like a really good option. And then Raigeki.
Flex slot.
It's a good card, right?
It was going to be Vector Blast, for real.
Really?
It was like 10 seconds away from being Vector Blast, but my friend Reese convinced me. He was like, every time you activate Vector Blast, would you rather just be activating Raigeki? And I was like, yeah.
Probably. Well, I don't know. I mean, there are some matchups where it's relevant.
Yeah, if I get extra linked by the one Goki player in the room, I guess Vector Blast is better.
Maybe. That's fair enough. And then, obviously, Triple Shed Ride, just winning all those grind games and against Striker and stuff.
I never put it in my deck.
Really?
It never went in my deck. I never played a Mirror, and I never played against Trickstar, which were the two decks I wanted to play it against.
That's a bit rough. Would you consider it against, I don't know, does it have any utility against Salamangre?
It has a little bit, but not enough. Like, the hand traps just do a better job than Shed Ride does.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Better to stop them than to just lose to stuff that they add anyway. Cool, no, that's fair enough. So, are there any other changes you've made to this list, or are you pretty happy with it?
I think the side definitely needs some work, like obviously with like Gamma Seal, and I want to try and work in Mind Control somewhere.
Yeah.
Just for the Thunder Dragon Danger matchup, but I think Econ's good enough.
Yeah.
Like, Econ and Mind Control are interchangeable, it's just whether or not you want to play a defensive card or an offensive card in that slot.
Yeah, because obviously you don't get the interaction during your opponent's turn.
Yeah, so the Raigeki could be a third enemy controller, but other than that, I'm reasonably happy.
Oh, that's cool. Well, congratulations on getting second place. Are there any shoutouts you'd like to make?
So basically, shout out to everybody at the Hobby Vault locals. It's my locals in Western Supermare, where I'm from.
Yeah.
Everybody there's super supportive. They all lent me cards. They were all cheering me on throughout the entire event. Super cool guys.
That's what you want.
And also shout out to my friend Tom Hards that I met at Cardiff last year, who convinced me to play Droll and spent about an hour shouting at me because I wanted to play Gale in the name instead of Droll. And Droll just, throughout the event, was a way better card in all honesty, so
yeah,
fair play to him.
No, that's a great card at the moment. That's really good. Nice.
Oh, and I have my own YouTube channel. I'm sure there'll be a link in the description if you want to go check it out. I'm going to be posting a deck list with all the theory involved and
definitely, yeah, that would be really good. Yeah, definitely. Go and check this out, guys, because you'll get a lot more information than you're getting from this one. I'm sure.
Cheers, man.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll see more of you in the future.
Hopefully.
Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.